Good afternoon. Welcome in this session called Measuring WOP Impact, Examples from Mojo, Ethiopia, Semarang, Indonesia, Nakuru, Kenya, and Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. I would like to first give a short introduction. This is a session submitted and organized by VAI. And the idea is that water-operated partnerships, they already exist for quite some time. Since 2006, indicatively, the Global Water Operated Partnership Alliance exists. And since then, we've started to call these collaborations, these partnerships, water-operated partnerships. And initially, most of these WOPs, they started as solidarity actions and as collegial collaborations. And although that was very successful and also very much appreciated by the partners, it always raised some questions with financiers and on what is then the added value of these water-operated partnerships. So through time, that thinking about what do water-operated partnerships add has resulted also in all kind of ideas to how to make the results of water-operated partnerships much more visible. And I think nowadays we are doing things a bit differently in that respect. So over the years, there have been a few ways of looking at monitoring, for example, at the KPI level of a water company, the key performance indicators to check whether there's an improvement in key KPIs. There's also monitoring frameworks that look mostly on project monitoring, whether a water-operated partnership is delivering on its activities. But since some years, we're also experimenting with new approaches that really capture the capacity development of a utility. And I think that is what we would like to share here today, the experience with that. And if you look at globally on what kind of frameworks are there for measuring capacity development of a utility, you could specifically distinguish those at the moment as the Utilities of the Future framework work that was developed by the World Bank, and the ACO rating framework that was developed by Inter-American Development Bank and the IWA. In addition, I think WOPs is also experimenting, and I think this session actually is also adding to that broader discussion. Nice to see you, Maria. So today, we would like to share some of the experiences we have within a number of water-operated partnerships in which VAI is a partner. But we'd like to introduce that first by giving an overview of the session as well as a little introduction into these two frameworks. And for that, I would like to ask my colleague Marjolein van der Malen to start off, to kick off this session. Marjolein is the planning, monitoring, evaluation and learning expert at VAI, and she's very much engaged with these frameworks and the learning and the monitoring of our programs. She's with VAI for 3 years now, of which she worked for 2 years in Bangladesh, in Dhaka, in the Water Operated Partnership on the waterworks that is running there. And you are also the big driver behind this session. So Marjolein, the stage is yours.
Thank you for the introduction, Adriaan. We have many participants in our session today from many different parts of the world, and we will introduce everyone as we go along in the session, telling also their story about the impact the WOP has made in their utilities. So just shortly, the program will be a short introduction into the waterworks Utilities of the Future framework evaluation system, as well as into aqua rating. And then we will have 4 really nice examples of WOP impacts in the field. After that, we will have a panel discussion with some interesting questions and a Q&A with the audience at the end. So to shortly introduce VAI, VAI has existed since 2004, engaged in water-operated partnerships since 2006, and involves 7 of the 10 water operators in the Netherlands. We, at the moment, have active partnerships in 21 countries, which involve 58 utilities. So we are a big operator in this sector. We are also most well known from the Waterworks project, of course. What makes a water operator partnership for VEI is really the long-term commitment we'd like to give our utilities. So at the moment, we have utilities which have been involved with us for 3 years, but at the other end, also utilities that have been with us for 20 years already in water operator partnerships. And we can really see our utilities grow through these processes. And at the end of a really long-term partnership, we also hope that our utilities can graduate into a mentor role themselves. So we focus on 3 different work streams within the water operator partnerships, which is, of course, the utility process improvement itself, so the improvement of the KPI and the maturity levels. But we also focus on investment mobilization, as well as creating an enabling environment in which the utilities have a strong position in the water sector themselves. And of course, we do all of this through peer-to-peer support with our partners all around the world. Then the session itself, the showing of impact. And what is important about showing impact? We have many different reasons to show impact, and I think it really started as a way of accountability towards our stakeholders as well as our funders of our projects. But it's really growing into more, and it's getting a different role also with our monitoring and evaluation. So we also want to learn from our partnerships. Like what are we doing right? What should we change? How can we help other partners as well? So we really also, through our monitoring and evaluation, want to scale our partnerships. It's also very important that we have the buy-in from the utilities themselves. And buy-in is really something you can create when you can also show what the WOP has brought the utility themselves. So we want to really create that trust through the transparency in our reporting and really showing, hey, we have been a partnership for this many years, and this is the tangible results you can see after that time. So also, our monitoring and evaluation really helps us when we are trying to create an enabling environment for our utilities. So you can see with the results, we can also have talks with, for example, donors, but also local governments, government representatives, to really show, hey, we are working on this, and this is really where your money is going. And lastly, of course, the sustainability of our projects is very important. And if you cannot show how you are doing, then you cannot say we need to continue in the future. So there are different ways to show impact, of course. So first, I'd really like to talk about the Waterworks M&E framework, which is a framework I personally use the most within my day-to-day work. This is based on the Utility of the Future framework. Have any of you worked with the Utility of the Future framework before? Yeah, just a couple of people. This is mostly used in our Waterworks projects. It's, like I said, based on the World Bank Utility of the Future framework. You'll see a couple of small differences, but the basics are the same. So we have the 3 work streams, which are utility improvement, enabling environment, and investment mobilization, which we monitor on. And each utility, when they become part of a water operator partnership, starts with a baseline. In this baseline, the utility KPIs are measured, so really the numbers, how is a utility doing? But also a maturity level assessment is part of this evaluation. So here in numbers from 1 to 5, we see, hey, how is a utility doing? And we can see also where we should improve. So after doing this maturity level assessment on 8 different processes, we set priorities together with our utility to be able to make a plan on how to continue in the water operator partnership. And to give you a little bit more of a practical example, I have the results chain right here for you. So how that would work in practice is after the baseline is done, the priorities are set, we are ready to go. For example, a short-term expert on NRW will visit a utility. This is the input, the utility staff hours, the data they have, the project management that is needed for the short-term expert to get to the location and to get started. When the short-term expert is at location, they will do certain activities. In the case of an NRW expert, this is often making a standard operating procedure on how to improve the NRW levels in the organization. Then we have the output, which is that the SOP that was made by the short-term expert is implemented within the utility. And then we can start to see the outcomes. And with our WaterWorks M&E framework, we look at the outcomes on 3 different levels. We look at the intermediate outcomes, which is the maturity level assessment, so seeing how the organization has improved. Then we look at the utility KPIs, how have the KPIs improved. And then we also look at the SDGs, how many people have we reached. So this is in very short a summary of the M&E framework for WaterWorks. And we will shortly have a presentation also from our colleagues from Kenya, Indonesia, and Ethiopia, which will show results that were measured with this framework. Then we have Aqua Rating. So Aqua Rating is the framework that we are using in our water operator partnership in Mongolia. It was developed by the Inter-American Development Bank in collaboration with the International Water Association, and also starts with a benchmark. But the benchmark in Aqua Rating is a little bit different in that where the M&E framework of WaterWorks sees the utility KPIs and the maturity level assessment as 2 separate things, Aqua Rating puts them together to get one rating in numbers of how a utility is doing. So a baseline is done, it's called a benchmark in Aqua Rating. And once again, after the benchmark is done, the processes that need to be improved are determined by the utility. The working processes are looked at to see, hey, what do we want to work on? The priorities are set. And the beauty of the Aqua Rating system is that also the activities that you are going to do to improve your rating are, I don't want to say predetermined, but there are very clear steps on how to go from one level to the next. So it's very clear for utility how to improve their rating. At the end, an external evaluation will be done to make sure that the utility has improved during this process. So that was in very, very short, 2 different frameworks that we will be talking about today. So yeah, thank you very much for your attention.
So as a follow-up in this session, we have now 4 presentations from different programs, basically illustrating the added value of monitoring. And I will announce the 4 speakers first, and then we will have them in addition, or what do you call it, after each other. And then we would like to continue after that with a panel discussion in which we would like the speakers to sit on stage, and we will address them with some questions. And at the end of that first question round, we would also like to invite you to ask questions to the speakers. So if you are listening to them, please pay attention so that you have a nice question for them later on. As I said, we have 4 speakers. We have one person online, that is Mr. Wande Herpa. He kicks off with a story about the water operator partnership in Ethiopia from Oromia. And Wande is working with VEI as a project manager since 2011. The next speaker will be Mrs. Grace Kabubu from the Nakuru Water and Sanitation Services Company. Grace is a communications specialist, but also very much engaged as a partnership representative in the water operator partnership between VEI and NAWASCO, and she is working with NAWASCO since 2013. The presentation after that is from Adion. Adion, and I have to look for you. Sorry, Adion. The last name is Vidi Laksono. Very nice to have you here, Adion. You work with PDM Semarang in Indonesia, and also involved with the as a partnership manager from the side of the water utility with the WOP ongoing since 2018. So welcome. And then as the final speakers, that will be a duo. We will have Unru Sana from the Millennium Challenge Alliance, or account Mongolia. you are the sustainability director of MCA, and you work as a project director to basically have all kind of activities to sustain investments that are ongoing in Mongolia at the moment under the compact between the Mongolian government and the US government. And you will explain more about that, but it's an important activity for sustainability of investments. And then we will have, as a co-presenter, Mr. Dak Vasuren, the chief engineer of Usuk, the water supply and sewage authority of Ulaanbaatar, the capital of Mongolia. You are already working with Usuk for 20 years and since 8 years as the chief engineer of the organization. So these are the 5 speakers. The last presentation will also partially be translated by Bira. And with that, I would like to announce One Day Online as the next speaker. One Day.
Let me see. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon. This is One Day Hirpa from Ethiopia. As Adrian and Marjolein introduced, I'm a project manager for one of the projects in Oromia. We have Oromia Water and Energy Bureau as an umbrella organization, and we're working with 3 different utilities. And today I'm going to present the WOP impact in Mojo. Next slide. Yeah, so we have a Waterworks program running since 2017, and we have actually 2 phases now. We are in the second phase, and it is about sustainable drinking water supply and sanitation for the people in those 3 towns, Ambo, Dukam, and Mojo towns. These are actually towns within 100-meter radius of from Addis Ababa. And we have also the Oromia Water Utility Association or Federation, which is also an association of all the utilities in Oromia, more than 200 utilities. So we are also working together with Federation. Of course, the red part is Oromia, which is actually the biggest region in Ethiopia. Next slide, please. So, Mojo. What is Mojo? Mojo is actually one of one of the dry ports in Ethiopia, because Ethiopia has so far no seaport. So we have a dry port, and then this dry port is actually attracting a number of industries and suppliers, like those who are operating on cargos, but also hotels, a lot of residents, and really a very growing city. It has grown a lot since we start, and now it's 151,000 people. And the utility itself has 15,859 connections, active connections, and they work with a permanent staff of 89 people. This is actually like 50% of these workers are guards, or like looking around the boreholes and also taking care of the borehole area. And Mojo actually has 7 active boreholes, a total of 15 boreholes, but from that 7 are active and producing good water. It has about 110 kilometers of pipeline. This is like till DN63. So the biggest is 450, and then we have 63 DN millimeter of all kinds of pipes, DCI, GS, and also HDP, PVC. And then we have actually an annual water production of 2.7 million cubic meters. And from this, Mojo is able to generate 65.5 million birr Maybe it's around, yeah, nowadays there is devaluated so much that maybe it's about 300,000 euros a year. Next slide, please. So my focus today is actually WOP impacts. What impact did we brought to Mojo? Or I mean, like when we see from other utilities as well, Mojo is actually the only one. We are the only one actually as VI working together with Mojo, and then actually that's the reason we choose Mojo, and we actually taken a look at the results of like from 2017, which is the baseline, till 2024. We have done quite a number of activities, inputs, and also outputs actually. And we use actually, our model is actually using the short-term expertise in the Netherlands, in their VI, with about 8 Dutch drinking water companies. And they produce actually plans, they give recommendations, assessment, working together with the colleagues in the water utility, and also providing some hardware, especially for the poor people through Water for Life, or also with the smart investment hardwares like pumps, but also softwares like systems and tools. And we have been running since 2017. And then we focus actually on 4 main areas. The first one is water supply coverage, and we will look into like how much connection have been increased, how much people have been connected, and then also we see the percentage issues. And we have also taken a look at non-urban water reduction approach has been implemented, and also its collection efficiency has been improved quite a lot, and operating ratio. Next slide, please. When we look at the water supply coverage, we see quite a tremendous increment from, let's say, about 40,000 till roughly 96,000 people, which has brought about, let's say, about 56,000 people increased there, which are really active actually. And we see that we have done quite a number of outputs. We have implemented 2 Water for Life projects, which actually helped 34,000 poor people, which are really living below the standard, that they were not able to be connected, and then Water for Life helps them to get water at their premise or from the public tap. And then also we also procured through Waterworks a pump, 55 kilowatts, which able to provide water to 20,000 people. This is actually, we call it an equivalent. And together you can see the impacts we bring in terms of like the sustainable development goal number 6. But when you see the coverage, you see quite a number of ups and downs, and then you see the coverage was not as we think. Even though we brought a number of connection, a number of increment to number of people which are connected to water, because I told you Mojo is really a growing city, fast growing city. The population was increased by 133%. So it needs quite a kind of exponential actions as well. And a lot of people are settling, and then the city is expanding. So it needs quite big infrastructure. And you see some thing also here, maybe later on, that we already made a lot of investment have been developed from this that can be also implemented in the coming years. Next slide. I think the main improvement area, or the impact that we think we have been brought is actually in the non-urban water reduction. as you know, non-urban water is not really well known to all the people. So at the beginning, we have to do a lot of awareness creation, starting from the guard who is just using water for just free, and now spreading, cleaning, washing, all kinds of, and also planting trees without knowing how much has been consumed and who is going to pay for it. And so after that, we are able to make like the roadmap, the strategy, together with the management and the other staffs. And then we created a pilot DMA, a small DMA of 500-meter connection, where the technical team, which is already delegated, is also learning on it and then doing the pilot, for example, isolating and then installing the bulk water meter with a pressure gauge, and then start measuring with a zero pressure testing, and then, all kinds of going through house to house of all those 500 connections, and then coming up with a reduction plan. At the utility level, I think the production meters were not really working, and then we have to really calibrate and maybe replace some water meters which are actually imported from the Netherlands. And we have also conducted a number of training using our expertise from FITAN's WML from the Netherlands in general. And then we have also developed a non-urban water dashboard where they can see and monitor their non-urban water achievement monthly. So with all those, you see there is a significant the reduction in two aspects. One is in liter per capita per day, and then you can see from 350 to about 100. And even in 2025, this year, it's going to be even less, like 80 liters per capita per day. And in the same manner, you see the reduction in percentage on the second paragraph graph, from 54 to about 20% of non-urban water. This year, it will be about 15% of non-urban water. So they are really putting a number of actions, and the non-urban water team has got now developed into strategically into from focal person to non-urban water department. But also the department is well staffed and equipped with tools they need to quickly repair and also proactively monitor the non-urban water in the various aspects, like the commercial, the physical, and so on. Next slide, please. The other aspect that we have seen is collection efficiency improvement. You can see the collection efficiency have significantly grown from about, let's say, 75 to almost 100%, I can say. This is because we procured from the beginning a kind of billing and collection system. It's called WSI, so it's a water supply information system. Before there was nothing, and people are just printing manually the receipts, and then customer has to come and they have to find manually who is going to get the bill. And a lot of bills were like being accumulated at the store, which is really difficult for those storekeepers to find out whose bill is that, and then from so many years. So we were able to, with this system, we were able to compile all the receipts, all the bills in a system. So when a customer show up, then a number of bills are shown, and then you have these bills from last year, maybe from 5 years ago, and then the customers can easily pay the bills. So this is a big improvement. And then also with the new development of mobile payment and everything, the collection efficiency has significantly improved to 99%. And you can see also the same impact on the operating ratio. At the beginning, it was roughly about 2 without no investment, but and only like they have some money at the bank, and then they start investing, and then it goes down with those activities, with a non-urban water reduction approach, with billing collection efficiency improvement, and with the return on investment that they did, they were able to increase that one to more than 2. And then in 2024, Mojo has invested in drilling one big well, which is cost about 35 million birr. And in 2025, the same manner, I think the investment was about 50 million birr. So that actually helped the utility to become like a self-sustaining and actually expanding the service out of its territory and other small towns like Koka, and there are now intentions about merging, and because Mojo is now capable, so the Oromia Water Bureau and Energy is also actually using that as an opportunity to merge with small towns, so that the other utilities can also get supported. Next slide. I think this is the last. Yeah, thank you very much, and looking forward to the question and the panel discussion.
Good afternoon, everybody. Glad to be here in person. Before I begin, I want you to turn to your neighbor, smile. Turn to the person seated next to you. Turn to the person seated next to you, smile. Give them one word of what WOPs means to you. Just one word, and then you'll keep it, and then I'll tell you what to do it with it at the end. Just one word, 2 seconds. One word. Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here just to overscore and underscore the theme of solidarity in action, which is WOPs. A very big theme, and that is what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to give you a snippet of our story with Vey. Capturing a story that is over almost 15 years in one presentation is a challenge. That's why I'm going to give you a snippet, just a short, brief introduction as to how we've been able to work with Vey. I start with Nakuru Water. We are formed after the Kenya Water Act reforms. If you want to know more about the reforms in Kenya and our water and what used to happen before that, I can give you that story. It is not for today. Today our focus is majorly on Vey. Our service area is 320 kilometers, but we are only able to supply an estimated 250 kilometers within the city. And this is because of various things, including the climate challenges that we have. This slide is just a nutshell of what Nakuru Water is all about. In terms of performance, currently we are the #2 water utility after Nyeri Water, which is present, but we are leading in various things within the whole water utilities list. We have a population of 500,000. Why we say that population is that big is because where Nakuru city is located, it is a city that is located where you can be able to access the other borders within East Africa. So you can be able to, through the road to Nakuru, you can be able to access Uganda, you can be able to access Tanzania and Rwanda. So our population moves from day and night. So sometimes at night it's less, sometimes it's more, sometimes during the day it's more, sometimes it's less. So you can imagine all those people have to access water, which we are the ones to supply. Sanitation, our coverage, we only have 30% of the sewer, 70% is on on-site sanitation. Going all the way to the end, which is number 10, I'm going to skip because number 10 for us is very important because it's part of what our story is with Vey. We've been able to do resource recovery. We've made shit business. We've come up with briquettes, we've come up with energy. We are expanding that fecal sludge treatment plant to be able to have other products that will be able not just to help us as a utility, but to help the whole of Nakuru City and beyond, including other cities within the country. So that's a nutshell of what Nakuru Water is about. Again, I said the partnership began in 2013. Back then, we had 91% water coverage, and we were serving only 18 hours of water supply per day, and our non-revenue was at 48%. The greatest challenge for water utilities worldwide is non-revenue water. So that for us was a very big challenge. One of the early wins that we saw is that the DMAs in Naka is an area within the city, were able to reduce non-revenue water in a very short time. Because with that partnership with VEI, then we were able to have experts with us who are able to give us solutions, and we work together. I want us to remember that partnership is not about one person. It's about both people. So that's why within our partnership, we've been able to grow, and I believe, and I know, and I'm 100% sure that VEI has also learned a few things from us. Our vision is to, of course, turn around based on trust and independent interdepartmental accountability. That is what we want to look at. Did I move a slide? Did I move? I moved? No, I didn't. Okay. So we've been able to scale through peer learning from pilot to scale. Remember, I said our NRW was at 48%. We're able to reduce it from 37 to 31 in 2015. From 2015 to 2019, we were able to scale up the DMA methodologies to other zones. Our company is divided into 6 zones. We were 5, but now we have 6 zones. So we were able to do that DMA methodology in other zones. The biggest enabler is because we were able to maintain leadership. From then up to now, we were able to have stable leadership at the top. We have 3 corporate management team members who've remained the same and have been able to mentor other staff within that space. So within 12 years, we've maintained the same leadership, which has also enabled us to grow. In sanitation, this is very big for us because this is also one of the big things that we began in VEI. We have a low-income consumers unit. I'm happy to report that it's no longer a unit. It is now a section. It began as a unit back then in 2012. Around 2012, 2013, VEI was able to support us, and we did the first strategic plan in the low-income consumers unit then, which has, again, I've said, has grown into a section. We've been able to support more than 18 peers within that, and this is what gave birth to what you saw at the very end of the sanitation value chain. Gave birth to a subsidiary company, which is Nawasco, which is able to present, to have the briquettes that we have. We've also been able to develop laws within our city with the help of VEI. We've come up with things like the Nakuru County Sanitation Law, which is now law within the county. Remember, as a utility, we are owned by the county, so we are able to sort of be part of that process of developing laws, especially laws that have to do with water and sanitation. So that is something we are proud of, and that is something that we've been able to do because of this particular partnership. Of course, we have the fecal sludge management roadmap, which we are continuing to work on to make better, and we've been able to develop more and more sanitation infrastructure. Back then in 2013, that's when I began my journey, my personal journey with VEI. I came in as a communication expert within a project for sanitation. Back then, we were supposed to ensure that the city has built over 7. The target that we had then was 7,300 toilets. And you can see that we were able to build over 8,100 toilets, which have impacted 280,000 people. This number increased, that by the time we were ending the project, it was over 10,000 toilets. So that's something we are very proud, because you know sanitation within Nakuru City affects the water because all our water comes from the ground. So if we are not able to build proper toilets, that means then whatever it is in sanitation infiltrates the water, then we are not able to provide clean and safe water. We're able to do maturity modeling, where we of course, had systematic process assessments. We used SWOT analysis. We were able to use things like utilities for the future toolkit. We were able to come up with strategic plans for the organization. And this was able to give us stronger planning. Of course, we reduced NRW. Currently, our NRW is below 26%. So we are really working on it to ensure that we go lower than that. There are very many dynamics in reducing NRW, especially in Kenya, but we are really working on it. We've been able to do better on credit worthiness. Back then, I don't even think we were ranked. Currently, we are being ranked at around BB. We want to get to the A level. And I know that together with the UWCI project will be able to help us. The NRW, I want us to understand that NRW ideally affects finances. So if we are losing water, that means we are losing money. This money that we are losing can be reinvested. That is what we worked on with VEI. We were able to save that water that we're able to save, which again equals money, has now been able to be return on investment. That was done within 14 months. So that means that we can now improve infrastructure because of that money that we saved within non-revenue. So what are the things that we can say are the tangible results? Number one, as I began, our performance. We are now top ranking. I think back then, I don't even think we were. I can't even remember us being anywhere within the rank. So now we are top ranked in Kenya. We have an ERP system that also was great support from VEI that has been able to give us seamless operations. At the beginning, we were operating in silos where the HR was doing its own system, finance had their own system, commercial had their own system. Now we have one system that speaks to each other, which is a good thing for us. We've been able to see capacity boost from, now we have 45,000 more. It's actually more as of today, meter cubic per day, which is treated. And we moved up to, that should be more than 95%. We are almost getting to 96% in terms of water supply. And we've been able to come up with climate smart initiatives like the Catchment to Tap initiative, which is an initiative that helps us to ensure that we protect the aquifer that gives us groundwater. So what are these lessons that we've learned? We've learned that key lessons are, these are long-term partnerships. I mean, we would have gotten rid of each other in the second year. We didn't, because this is a great partnership that has seen both of us grow. We also have local leadership buy-in. Within the county, VEI is known up to, it's not even governor level, even the president knows VEI, the president of the country. So that means we've had a lot of leadership buy-in. And of course, also operational co-investments. There's been a lot of peer-to-peer learning, which has enabled us to grow into a real-world utility experience. So I conclude by saying that what we've seen is that local partnerships, WOPs foster sustainable community-owned solutions. We are able to see knowledge sharing. Remember, this is not just about one partner. We've been able to share knowledge at both levels. When we have the short-term experts come in, they also go back with lessons, which I'm sure they're able to share with to share with people back home. We also have scalable lessons where we have success stories. We have a model for other utilities. Other utilities are able to come to us and ask us, you know, how have you been able to grow such partnerships up to this level? We have ongoing peer relationships that bolster, of course, future water service sustainability. This is a photo that shows our successes. Again, this is a snippet. It is a drop in the ocean. If you want to see the real successes, welcome to Kenya, welcome to Nakuru County. We'll be able to show you in person. But these are just the successes in a photo that show everything that we've been able to do, including planting trees, being top utility, being able to have briquettes. Those are things that we've been able to do. Before I end, one word. You gave your neighbor one word, right? The person seated next to you. When this conference began, I brought this notebook here on purpose. I opened a page, and this page is called Words to Note During the WOP Congress. I've been writing down words. But if you look at my notebook, at the center of it is WOP. That is the word that I've had the most. And for me, that is what partnerships are made of. Those many words are the ones that connect us together. So what I want us to do, I know it may feel like it's not making sense, but I want us to shout that one word. Whatever you hear that is not your word, please write it down in your notebook. So I'll just say 1, 2, 3, then you shout your word, right? We've gotten the instructions. Okay, let's try. 1, 2, 3. I've had partnerships. Let's try again. Louder, a bit louder. We had lunch, right? So 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Thank you so much.
It was amazing, yeah, Chris. So partnership, solidarity. Yeah. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So this is my 4th time doing the panel. So I hope you are not getting bored with my face. If you are bored, please be with me, yeah, for 10 minutes only. So, okay, yeah. So in here I will present about the WOP in our country, in Indonesia, in Semarang, where FAI is working with Perumda Air Minum Tirta Modal Kota Semarang, or in short, we can call it PDAM. Before I start, I would like to introduce you with the WOP of Semarang. So, WOP of Semarang is located in the Semarang city, which is a city with a 1.7 million population, and with the area around 370 kilometers square. With the current customer is 202,000 customers, where 97% of it is the domestic customers, and we have 105 million meter cube per year of water production in volume. And if you are talking about WOP, is shout out to the local team also, because the local team of Waterworks Semarang are the one who are implementing a lot of things in Semarang, where we have Thomas as project manager, and also another 8 local staff. And this local staff, as we know already in WOPs, local champion is important to have more local context in implementation. So we have 8, and 3 of them are young experts. So we also invest in the young expert, because that's also important in realizing this WOP, because they are the future. And actually also before I was a young expert, and because we the young are within the future, and we will knowledge that we get from this WOP will be within us. So therefore we can also transfer to knowledge to the other employee. So in Semarang, so as a little bit background why the WOP Semarang is important to us, because it's helping us with the current problem in Semarang about land subsidence, where because of the land subsidence, it reduces the land in around 10 until 15 centimeter per year. And the reason why is because a lot of groundwater abstraction. And groundwater abstraction is because that not a lot of people are using water supply from water utility. So with this issue in hand, PDAM should become stronger to make sure that land subsidence is not happening. I mean, it's also not because of the only groundwater, but to reduce the impact of the land subsidence. So therefore, PDAM should become stronger and therefore become the first choice of the community. So basically, that's the problem in Semarang. And this land subsidence actually also resulting things for our performance, like the high non-revenue water, and also the pipeline is deeply underground, as I will show you in this picture. Yeah, so you can see that the pipeline is very deep. There, it's around 4 meters, I think, or something, and it's actually also difficult to find leaks, etc. So it's also a problem for urban water supply. And for the communities, also resulting in flood, which is also resulting in economic loss for the community. And here is the goal of the WOP. So basically, PDAM Semarang should become a utility that's able to become resilient for supplying drinking water in Semarang City. And we have 4 teams. The first one is about reliability of supply, where PDAM is able to attract or retain more customers. The second one is about the strong organizational development, so more internal, where PDAM leaders and staff have better capacity and are motivated to build a strong organization. The third one is about the investment. Basically, as utility, we need investment, of course. So we could do more investment and able also to implementing it in a good way. That's an important thing. And the fourth one is about enabling environment. Again, if you're talking about water utility, enabling environment is important, such as a tariff, and then good community of practice, etc. Here in Semarang, we work based on the theory of change. Basically, that's what Marjolein introduced us earlier during this session, is that we do a maturity assessment first. And this maturity assessment is not done by only from Waterworks or FI, but we do it together with the staff or the management from the utility. So basically, there are here, you could say there are some topics like water production, water distribution, asset management, etc. So we together are assessing the current maturity level within the utility, and we try to agree upon together for this WOP of Waterworks what should be the aim or the target during the end of the WOP Waterworks. So you could see that we select 26 working processes, and at 2021 the baseline it was 2.3, and during the midterm review on 2023 it was 3, and we are still, the target is 3.7, so we have 0.7 need to be accomplished during the end of 2026 of Waterworks Phase 2. And here is the important things about WOP. So basically in Semarang, we use a key principle of WOP, which is also made by FI. First one is strong local team. As I introduced you in the first slide, that strong local team is important to be able to help the short-term expert that coming from Netherlands to Indonesia, because they can provide more local context, helping in translation. That's the most obvious thing. But because they can also, you could say, become a champion, where they could also help in transferring the knowledge that they get to the others peer. And then the second, that's about the South-South interaction. So basically, if you have strong local team, basically those local team will be able to share the knowledge to the others. And that's important because 5 short-term experts usually only come 2 weeks or 3 weeks. But in utility, we always run it 1 year full. So those South-to-South interaction is one of the key where the transfer knowledge is going on. And then the third one is capacity building and training. And this one is done by the 5 short-term experts, where they come here and give the training. So that's the key principle. And how we do it in Semarang, the first one is working process maturity, which I already explained you in the previous slide. And then professional development. So when the short-term expert coming here to the Semarang, they do the on-the-job training directly. So basically they do, for example, for pipe repair, then the 5 short-term expert coming in, and then PDM staff will also do the pipe repair, where the short-term expert will assess and then give the training directly. And then the third one is knowledge exchange, which most of them is coming from the 5 short-term expert. And here's the examples. So in Semarang, here's some activity that we do. The first one is about the business market, increasing in water sale for the industrial and other sectors. Because why this is important? Because in Semarang, we would like to gaining more revenue to be able to invest more in the water supply infrastructure, and the industrial customer, which is also using a lot of groundwaters, should be able to transform or move from groundwater abstraction to PDAM water supply. So that's the key one of the activities that we do, which is actually pretty good, which I will show you in the end of the slide about that result. The second one about the pipeline construction and installation to support NRW reduction, because in Semarang the NRW is very high. Doing only leak detection or doing the pipe repair of those leaks will not solve the problem, so preventive things also need to be done. So in this WOP, we're also doing that. And then the third one, the newest thing also about nature-based solution, because we need to have water security, and water security start from the upstream from water source. The fourth one is the digitalization, where we do implement the operational control center to help PDAM to become more responsive in doing the complaint. And the most important is about the investment project, where PDAM should be able or get more water from getting more money from for the investment. Yeah, so this WOP to accelerate investment. So with the help from the WOP, PDAM Semarang is getting a lot of investment. So from Waterworks Fund itself, we be able to invest on smart things like a smart sensor, and then for automation, and then in the operational fund, we do a pump investment where it could help in improving or increasing the service coverage. And also with Waterworks also help us in doing the pre-fund for INPRES and NUWSP. Basically, there's a program from national government, and Waterworks is helping us to PDAM to get the money from the national government. And then we also have climate fund for water supply, Jatisari, and Grand Design North Branch. Basically, the fund to develop proposal where we could get more money from it. So that from Waterworks. And for Water for Life, which is focusing more on the low-income community, we also get some money also from it. We have two Water for Life already, Water to Life already in place, which is Genu and Randusari, and currently we are starting in Kabunarjo. And also the newest thing is about Urban Water Catalyst Initiative, which is also at the launch on the first day and the second day during this Congress. So we are currently in the early engagement, and also Nature for Water, which is also discussed yesterday. We also just received it. So basically, Waterworks or WOP is also helping us to get more and more investment. And as you see also, the grant is not 100%, because I think from Waterworks or FI, they also won't have a commitment from local utility. Otherwise, it will be probably the commitment will not be very good. And we come to the result. So, as I mentioned in the examples activities, that we are focusing on the business customer, and here's the result. So you can see that during 2022, that on the phase 2, which is we are focusing on this more and more, that the increase of water volume for the business customer is increasing a lot. And the revenue, of course, you could see that it increased 50% from 2022. And then the customer growth also, so we could see that starting the WOPs in 2019, usually it's only 2,000, and 1,000 is because of the COVID, but starting from 2022, we could increase the number of customers doubled. Also for customer satisfaction, you could see also it is increasing. And then this for NRW. Yeah, for NRW it's not a lot reduction, but if you could see also the system input is also increasing, and the theory, if the system input increasing, the NRW will be increasing. But in this case, we are able to keep the NRW stable and going down a little bit. But for NRW, we focus on intervention in the supply zone instead doing the whole utility, because our utility is very big. And doing intervention in the supply zone is more important for us because it could show the result on the staff of PDAM. And lastly, it's about the average supply hours per year is also increasing from 20 to 23. So that will be all from me. I hope it doesn't too much for you all. So thank you.
Testing. All right.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. We are honored to present the Mongolia WOP program implementation and results at the JWOPA. What is the, yeah. So Mongolia WOP program is 3 years program that started in early 2023. On this slide, you can see more than 100 water supply sewage authority Ulaanbaatar engineers who are the main the water utility in Ulaanbaatar, and also that these engineers are the silent achievers in our water sector. So next slide. Okay. So Ulaanbaatar is the capital city of Mongolia and home to 1.7 million people. And all city depends entirely the groundwater, and which groundwater fed by the Tol River. You can see the slides, they're our main river. So ensuring sustainability, sustainable water services here, not just technical task, it is a matter of the resilience and survival. Next slide. So urban growth and gear area expansion. So urban growth and gear area expansion is increased pressure on limited water resource, aging infrastructure, and also population is doubled last 20 years. Water demand increased 40% for the last decade too, and groundwater is the main water resource of the city. So urban area has expanded 3 times since 2000. So these numbers show how water resources very critical for Mongolia and how challenging water utility maintain this, providing the water services in Ulaanbaatar city. So in this context, Mongolia Water Compact, which is a 2 governments initiative, the big infrastructure project between the government of Mongolia and Millennium Challenge Corporation of United States, investing to increase the bulk water supply to Ulaanbaatar through the different infrastructure projects plus sustainability projects. So our first project, biggest one, is downstream wells activity. Under this activity, we are constructing 2 main well fields and also advanced water purification plant that supply to the city 50 million cubic meter water per year. And second project is, sorry, this is automatically playing. Second project is wastewater recycling plant. So wastewater recycling plant is, recycling the wastewater and reducing, saving 1,800,000 cubic meter per year. So third project is sustainability project. This project is try to ensure the long-term benefit of the investment and also try to support the institutional capacity within the water sector, like water utility, regulator, and some water sector organizations in Ulaanbaatar. So Mongolia WOP program is implemented under the sustainability project. So is Marilyn mentioned about our ACU rating, which is an assessment tool. When we started the WOP program, we conducted the ACU rating at the USUG, which is 2019 and 2020. So ACU rating is 8 operational areas and also 28 sub areas, and also KPIs and practices are combined. And this is basically the self-assessment of the utility first. And based on the self-assessment, there is a kind of internal audit process and then external audit process from the International Water Association. And finally, external auditing finished, they provide the certification. So this ACU rating is, we made first ever assessment, international assessment in Mongolia. And basically in Ulaanbaatar, we have 2 big main municipal owned utility. One is USUG and one is OSNAG. So all of the representatives are here. Please, Mongolian delegates, hands raised here in this room. Thank you. So on this slide, I tried to show once we have in 2020, this is right after the COVID time, it was very difficult time for us to assess ourselves using the international benchmarking, but our also colleagues and OSNAC colleagues already done and got the certification. And based on that, we organized the international procurement process in order to select the twinning facilitator. So I just recall that time, when the time I'm a project manager, I have no idea about the WOP. And guess who is the most supportive tool for me to develop the terms of reference of that twinning facilitator? It was WOP library. The WOP website includes the huge amount of information, and I learned a lot. And as a project manager, my beginning the drafting the terms of reference started the just WOP website. And we successfully organized the international tendering process, and Wheaton Services International was selected the twinning facilitator, and we signed the contract early 2023. And then our partnership started. This is a time for our also colleagues and Dutch water companies work together on our partnership. So our partnership, the design of the WOP and initial diagnostic visit organized the first year, and then following 2 years is the most exchange visitors learning process, and also like improving the utility performances. So now we are planning to next round of aqua rating in 2026. We are planning to conduct it in April or May, around that time. So this is, after that assessment, we would have more measurable impacts and numbers and figures. We've seen our results. So this is a quite usual WOP. We've seen, we heard about lots of experiences from different WOPs. For our WOP, what's the specific is, so aqua rating has 8 operational area, and we discussed when we developed the design, we created 11 project groups within the OSUG. So why the operational areas 8, why we have 11, we divided into some of the operational areas, more details. For example, non-revenue water commercial team, non-revenue water technical team. So those teams, however, those teams are divided into 2, but work mostly very closely. And we have asset management, we have environmental sustainability, emergency response planning, financial sustainability, etc. And we have 11 project groups working with the Dutch mentor experts. Every project group has own mentor experts, and they work together trying to improve the aqua rating assessment score. Behind that number, of course, OSUG overall performance is improving, I believe. And in addition to that, we created that 11 project groups through the competitive process within the OSUG. OSUG has 1,800 staff members, and approximately more than 150 staff members participated, joined these project groups. And one very important point I would like to highlight, which is, even I really realize WOP is not just a technical knowledge exchange. The more important thing is change management, leadership, and also trust building, team building, and within the organization, departments, divisions work together. Not only the project groups working with the mentor experts. So this is what I witnessed the last 2 years within the USUG and our Dutch mentor experts. So let me stop now. Chief Engineer will introduce the several key aspects of the WOP.
За тэгэхээр та бүхэнд энэ өдрийн мэндийг хүргэе.
Greetings to you all.
Төсөлд хамтран оролцогчтой туршлага судлагч байгууллагынхаа зүгээс 3 слайд танилцуулъя.
I'd like to present 3 slides as a beneficiary organization of the WOP project.
За усуг өдөрдох газар нь Улаанбаатар хотын нийт хэрэглэгчдийг уун дахуу усаар хангах, за гарсан бохир усыг татан зайлуул цэвэрлэх буюу цэвэрлэх байгууламжуудын үйл ажиллагааг хариуцж ажилладаг ийм байгууллага байгаа.
USUG, or in other words, Ulaanbaatar Water Supply and Sewerage Authority, we have 2 main operations to supply clean water, drinking water, and sewerage.
Улаанбаатар хот маань хэдийгээр одоо 4700 орчим км квадрат нутаг талбайтай боловч түүн дотроос 300 км квадрат талбайд нь үйлчлэгийг үзүүлдэг.
In Ulaanbaatar, the total service area is about 300 cubic kilometer.
За энэ талбайд бол Улаанбаатар хотын 1.5 сая оршин суугчид, за 412 мянган айл өрхүүд, за 5 мянган гэрээ хэрэглэгчд бол багтдаг.
In this area, there are more than 1.5 million residents and more than 400,000 households, also more than 5,000 contractors, and we supply clean water to them.
За хоногтоо дунджаар 170-аас 200 мянган метр куб усыг 10 их усрээс олборлоод за 586 км чугмаар гол магистрал шугамудаар иргэдэд саяны үйлчлүүлэгч нартаа хүргэж ажилладаг юм байгууллага байгаа.
In terms of the facility capacity, the water extraction is about 170,000 cubic meters a day through more than 586 kilometer long water supply network.
За мөн 237 км бохир усны шугамаар бохир усыг татан зайлуулаад 7 ариун цэврийн байгууламжаар цэвэрлээд байгаль нийлүүлэх юм ажиллагааг хариуцдаг.
Also, there are 7 wastewater treatment plants with the sewage network of more than 237 kilometer long.
За бидний энэ 3 жилийн хамтын ажиллагааны төсөлд одоо болсон үйл явдлыг тоо хэмжээгээр танилцуулбал за нийт 11 сургалтын аялал хийгдсэн байгаа.
We would like to describe our WOP implementation in numbers. So in total, there are 3 years implementation, and out of that, we organized 11 study trips from Mongolia to the Netherlands.
За дээрх энэ сургалтын аялалд бол давхарцсан доогоор нийт 184 усугийн ажилтнууд, за энэ Галландд ирж энэ WOP компани мэргэжилтнүүдээс мэдлэг солилцох, за дээрээс нь 40 гаруй вебсайтуудаар зочилсон ийм үзүүлэлттэй байгаа.
There are over 180 participants people participated in the WOP project, which means that from out of total employees, 184 participants went to the Netherlands in order to study from Dutch water utilities and experts.
За дээрээс нь Галландын 15 мэргэжилтэн, за аялал бүр дээр одоо сэдв бүр дээр зочин багшаар 80 гаруй мэргэжилтнүүд оролцсон. За нийт ерөөсөө цахим болоод бичлэн 150 гаруй сургалтыг бол хүлээж авсан байгаа.
We were trained in total of more than 150 training sessions, and there were 15 Dutch experts who were helping us in order to develop as a water utility, and we had over 80 guest speakers, and we have had a chance to visit more than 40 site visits throughout the WOP project in the Netherlands and in Mongolia as well.
За энэ саяны төслийн үр дүнд үүссэн үр дүнг төслийн явцад үүссэн үр дүнг одоо зөвхөн өгүүлбэрээр илэрхийлье.
I'd like to also present some of the achievements and impacts that we have gained through the WOP program in Mongolia.
За Улаанбаатар хот бол газрын ирлэв, газар зүйн байршлын маш тийм ялгаатай нам доор өндөр газруудтай байдаг учраас энэ дээр орлого болоогүй усыг багасгахын тулд бүсчлэлийн бүсчлэлүүдийн загварчлалыг бол гаргаж тооцсон байгаа.
Mongolia has a very vast land, so there are a lot of geographical differences in the area, so that we have established two pilot DMAs in 2 districts.
Тийм учраас одоо мэдээлэлд суурилсан хоёр туршилтын бүсийг тодорхойлоод за тэн дээр орлого болоог усныг хэмжих, багасгах төлөвлөлтийн ажлуудыг хийж эхэлсэн.
In the 2 districts that we established, we also introduced data-driven leakage monitoring, and also we integrated the non-revenue water data into planning and budgeting.
Орлого болоог ус ер нь энэ оны үзүүлэлтээр 17% хүрсэн юм үзүүлэлттэй байгаа.
And we have reduced the non-revenue water to 17%.
За байгаль орчны менежментийн хувьд гэх юм бол байгаль орчны ISO 14001 стандартыг нэвтрүүлээд ажиллаж байна.
In terms of environmental management project group at the water utility here in Mongolia, we have introduced ISO 14001.
За онцгой байдлын багийн хувьд гэхэд онцгой байдлын эрсдлүүдийг бүгд ингээд тодорхойлоод хариу арга хэмжээний төлөвлөгөөг боловсруулад бас мөн тэрийг мөрдөж ажиллаж байгаа.
In terms of emergency response management at Usug, we've been working in order to build our capacity by developing emergency response plan with mitigation measures and plans.
За бохирос ариутгах татваргын болон ската телеметрийн багийн хувьд гэх юм бол засвар үйлчилгээний бохиросны шугам сүлжээний засвар үйлчилгээний аргыг шинжилээд за мөн дата мэдээллүүдийг цуглуулад урьдчилан сэргийлэх засвар үйлчилгээний протоколыг бохиросны цэвэрлэгээний системд бол хэрэгжүүлэхээр ажиллаж байна.
And in terms of the wastewater and sewage and SCADA telemetry project group at Usug, we've been repairing and upgrading the malfunctioning SCADA system. Also been conducting the protocol of preventative maintenance performed on the wastewater collection system.
За байгууллага дотоодоо мэдлэгээ хуваалцах соёлыг бэхжүүлж дотоод ажлын хэсгүүдийг одоо байгуулаад доктортой суралцах орчныг бол бүрдүүлсэн байна.
We have also established a very safe environment for the institution so that we have been conducting knowledge sharing sessions within Usug.
За эдгээрийн хүрээнд бол байгууллагын сэтгэлгээ шинжлэгдэж за гүйцэтгэлийн үнэлгээ ба усны үйлчилгээг хэрхэн сайжруулахад илүү төлөрч чадж байгаа.
So that we are also focusing on how to improve the water service and the customer engagement.
За хамгийн том юм нь хөрөнгөний менежментийн системийн худалдан авалтыг эхлүүлсэн.
And most importantly, in terms of asset management, we have initiated the asset management, computerized maintenance management system procurement.
За мөн хөрөнгөний бүртгэл ашиглалтын хугацааны менежментийн талаар мэдлэг туршлага бол асар өндөр болсон.
Also, we improved the understanding of asset inventory and life cycle planning at Usug.
Энэ дээрх бүгдийг нэгтгэхэд хамгийн сүүлд нь хамгийн том юм нь бол 2040 он хүртэлх стратеги төлөвлөгөөгөө гаргаж батлуулсан байгаа. Энэ дундаа бол саяны хэлсэн бүгд багтсан бөгөөд үн дээрээс нэмэх нь одоо санхүүгийн доктортой байдал, орлого болоог усыг бууруулах гэх мэтлэн энэ зүйл заалтууд ажлууд маань бол 2040 оны стратеги төлөвлөгөөнд бол бүрэн туссан байгаа.
On top of all the results that I've mentioned beforehand, most importantly, we have integrated all these results in the organizational strategic plan 2040. Also on top of that, we also make sure to integrate WOP outcomes that we have achieved throughout the implementation, including customer engagement, financial sustainability, non-revenue water reduction, and investment procurement as well.
За товчхондоо танилцуулах юм байна ингээд өнөөдөр.
That is all for now.
So
and
let
then
me
I'll like to
conclude,
give my feedback.
what really works for our 3 years WOP. And of course, MCA Mongolia implemented many consultancy services. These consultancy services continued from 1 year to 3 years. We have more longer consultancy services. So what's the main differences is, building the trust and learning each other, learning by doing. This is all the things are very sustainable. And also like what I see, Usug engineers, like owner of that project, and also like benefit recipients are more interested in to provide their inputs, insights. Really what they really need, they define their needs and they try to find their solutions together with the mentor experts. That's the very great things. And also like we have measuring assessment tool, which is accurating. And also this kind of kind of study trips are very transformative peer learning. So, of course, the next steps is now within the USUG, trained staff members needs also to teach others, and also USUG could be a mentor organization, mentor utility there in a local level, in province level, and also, of course, we have to now explore what's the continuity of the WOP, what's the next donor synergy program, etc. But of course, Millennium Challenge Corporation program is implemented in just 5 years. If donors are stopping their funds, and what's the happening is our the big the thinking and plan B. You know, what's the happening then? So this is a main key conclusion, and this is my summary. What WOP is more than a project, and it is transformation of people and system and organization and also culture. It shows that with the right partnership, knowledge can flow is Vora powerfully is Vora. So this is my main conclusion, and let me also show very little
has evolved notably well.
video.
In the beginning, USUG participants were quite reserved, but now they engage in rich two-way discussions with Dutch experts and have built strong professional connections. What excites me most is that they are not just receiving knowledge, but they're transferring it to colleagues back home, which shows real ownership and sustainability. This growing sense of partnership is exactly what we envisioned from the start.
Thank you. This is our presentation, and you can scan more videos about the Mongolia Vara WOP. Thank you.
So, thank you very much. Thanks to the speakers. Time management was not our strongest part in this session, that's very clear. But we have 5 minutes and maybe the break left to also do a bit of a discussion. So I would like to ask the panelists or the speakers to come to the stage and be panelists, and then we will address you some questions. So, very quickly, and I would like to first maybe go into the last presentation and address the first question to you, Unru. What is interesting about the WOP Mongolia is that it aligns with investments. You mentioned it partially, but maybe you could elaborate a little bit on it more, why it was interesting actually from the MCA, MCC perspective to start with a WOP, and how that actually came on your agenda.
Thank you, Adrian. So basically, Mongolia Vara Compact was developed since 2017, and during the compact development phase, our investment focused on to improve the bulk water supply of Mongolia. So then Millennium Challenge Corporation country team, my colleague Stephen Gall, working with the USUG, and asked, what do you really need in order to ensure the sustainability of that investment? You will have big plants to operate in the future that will be increased your revenue requirements. You need more capable staff members. Which kind of support do you really need? And USUG response was, with this international and also implementing the 5-year swap earlier between 2007 and 2013, and that work was exemplary. We wanted to have such a kind of assistance, such a kind of partnership, and they, during the development of the investment finalization, ASOC highly raised this request, and also MCC conducted own assessment, due diligence study, and then they decided to invest the WOP program. So then finally we have this kind of 3-year swap. Also it's aligned with the overall compact objective of bulk water supply project, and how can water utility more capable, how can we support the capacity building, not only the technical assistance, but also like such kind of partnership.
Yep.
So that's why we are investing this WOP.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let me then move to you, Grace, if I may. So you have been showing different results, quantitative metrics actually, on non-revenue water, the number of connections that Navasco has. But how do you balance those with more qualitative outcomes like customer satisfaction and behavioral change? So how do you combine quantitative data with more qualitative data?
Thank you for that question. That's a great question because it's all about stories. As you know, I'm a storyteller. But we are able to pair operational KPIs with customer experience metrics. We have our customer satisfaction survey that is able to tell us what it is that customers are looking at in terms of service delivery. We also measure behavior change through various community activities we have, like the current one that we're doing, which is a campaign that is called Service Mashinani. It just means that we're taking the services to the community. And we use digital tools as well to capture numbers and narratives, not just numbers. I know we talk about data, we talk about numbers, but those stories are also very interesting. It's interesting to hear about a woman who used to, wake up late in the night and wake up, at 4 a.m. in the morning to fetch water. She's not sure of her security, and now she's able to comfortably fetch water without her going anywhere because water is available at her disposal. We also co-create indicators with the community, sitting down with communities to try and see what it is that they have as indicators that we can co-create together. And lastly, what we are able to do with the WOPs is blend technical KPIs with social impact through the partnerships. So these partnership stories are able to give us impact, and at the end of the day, making us want to be, of course, a mentor utility.
Thank you, Grace. I think also the presentations that we saw today also, on the one side, show metric outcomes, but also tell a story about these partnerships. Yeah, and I also know that, say, on our end, these stories also are very powerful, but also are moving actually people to do things. Yeah. So Arjan, may I come to you to have a question on M&E frameworks? You showed how PDM Semarang is working with the utilities of the future framework, or which was modified a bit in Waterworks. Could you elaborate whether such a framework is generally applicable also to other utilities, based on your experience?
Yes, thank you, Prof. Adrian. So about your question about the framework, or we call it in Semarang, or Waterworks WOP tool. Yeah. So about this WOP tool, it's actually, we understand that as Waterworks, you will probably need to have a framework that is applicable to every utility that's joining the Waterworks. But we know that WOP tool, yes, need to be standardized, but it should also make sense. And so that's why balance between the standardizing for the universal tools for other utility, but also need to be also adjusted a little bit about the local context. So for example, what we see in the WOP tool is that not only you do a maturity level assessment that is universal for all of the water utility, but you could also add a little bit context. So therefore, if sometimes there's the description does not match anything, you could also little bit make it more specific about the need in the water utility. So therefore, it is true, it's still standardized, where you could also still do a benchmarking. You can also still do reporting to the donor, but it still makes sense for the water utility. It still makes sense for the director, for example, to ask what's the progress of the implementation of waterworks, for example. So that's why I think what we had now about the WOP tool in waterworks is already quite good. It's already standardized, but it is, and not but it's already standardized, and it can modify it a little bit to ensure a local context.
Yeah.
So that's important.
Yeah, so we should have a modified type of approach. It should not be only a standardized approach, but it should also be flexible to
Yes.
be applicable for the utility that
And
you
that's
work with.
important.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Thank
clear.
you.
Maybe may I move to you then, Marjolein, because you are, say, at the overall level now monitoring this approach of the. How is that working out to where you sit? Because you oversee all these monitoring results.
It's really difficult to summarize all of our results into numbers, but sometimes numbers are what the donor wants to hear. So we try to give the local context with the number to be able to make sure that there's also an understanding of what the numbers mean. For example, we had one day's presentation in which he showed an incredible improvement in the number of people that were connected in the Mocho water utility. However, the percentage of the people connected has decreased because of the huge influx of people now living in Mocho. So it is important for us to not only show the numbers and show what the donors want to see, but also make them aware of the context in which we operate. So, but it is a challenge to balance both.
Mm-hmm. But if I then zoom in a little bit more on the maturity level approach, because, and that's maybe also a question to you, Ardian, I think one of the ideas is that it would also kind of help in determining the type of TA that should be provided. Is it like that, or is it too much, what do you call it, too much, is it not applicable in local situation? That's
for us, if we are able to do a maturity level assessment with the utilities we work together with, we can also determine together with the utility what the needs are in training, and we will be able to prioritize which areas we would like to work together on based on the needs of the utility as well. But not only do we want to work together on things that may not be going well or have a low maturity level, but it's also really nice to see that more utilities are starting to work on processes that are already going well, but they want to improve even further. So it can be a help with determining which areas need work, but it can also really show how much improvement there already is and which steps can still be taken to get to the next level.
Thank you. Then my final question for Mr. Dak Vasuren, and then I would like to also invite the audience to come up with your question. It's maybe a general question on, so the aqua rating approach, is that helpful for Usuk in your management?
Энэ төслийн хэрэгжихийн өмнө бол манайх дотооддоо гүйцэтгэлийн үзүүлэлтүүд бол гаргаа явуулдаг гэсэн. КП үзүүлэлтүүд гаргаа явуулдаг гэсэн. Төслийн дараагаар бид нар бол аква рейтинг буюу олон улсын усны байгууллагуудын хүрээнд хэрэгждэг энэ стандартаар илүү наривчлалтай гүйцэтгэлийн үзүүлэлтүүдээ гаргаа явуулж байгаа учраас энэ бол илүү үр дүнтэй, илүү наривчлалтай гэж харагдаж байгаа. Ингээд олон улсын түвшинд өөрсдийнхөө байгууллагын хаана яваа төвшснөө тодорхой болгочих юм бол маш олон зүйлийн их усүр үндэслэл болно гэж бол харагдаж байгаа. Тийм учраас аква рейтинг бол илүү
баярлаа.
So I'll translate, Chief Engineer. So basically, Usuk do their own assessment, annual assessment. You know, we have own KPIs, etc. before we conduct the aqua rating. But aqua rating assessment is more details to assess our performances. And once we have aqua rating results, and it will be able to, to show where we are within the global water utilities. it is like we can see, the results. So that's why, with the management level at the souk, the accurating is helpful.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. We also have one day still online, so if people have questions for him, I would also invite you to take that. But are there any people in the audience that would like to ask a question to the panelists based on their presentations or the topic of the session?
One panel asked another panel. Because Grace in Kenya implemented the 15 years WOP. I'm very jealous about that. And now we are implementing 3 years WOP, and now we are trying to estimate how can we estimate the return on the investment, which kind of methodology we should use. And we've seen lots of changes in that couldn't be expressed in numbers. But always donors and investors asked the return on the investment, which kind of methodology you are using. Maybe one day, or like other panelists, they're welcome to respond. That's the main question for us too.
I think one of the greatest strengths in WOP is beyond just implementing. It started with listening. They would have come in and just given us a plug and play and told us that, Nakuru, we can see you don't have water. We are putting pipes here. But we sat down, had a discussion, had agreements, listened first, and then we were able to come up with a working relationship. Then as you go along, WOPs is so interesting that as you go along, you figure out what areas to plug, what areas to unplug. Because as we went along, as you saw within our journey, then we've been able to grow in terms of how many, in terms of the percentage of people that we're able to reach from 91%. Then that is no longer a concentration area. Then we move on to the next. So such things, and also peer-to-peer learning, just being able to have peers that can learn. And another great story from Adrian and what they're doing in Samarang, that the youth are really involved. Remember, youth, these are the present and future of any nation. So it's been a lot. It's been a lot of listening, a lot of learning, a lot of unlearning, relearning, and even getting rid of some lessons that you learned that didn't work for you. So it should be as open as possible, and not something that it is not cast on stone. There is no Bible or Quran that you need to follow. It's not cast on stone. The more you go along, the better you become. So one day I'll be happy to sit down in a panel like this and be sharing this story and saying that I was in a panel with Mongolia and they asked about, how we grew, and now they are 20 years. Yes.
And if you look at did we ever do the financial calculations? How much the WOP added to the operations of Navasco?
I'm sure the financial calculations are there. I probably don't have the exact numbers, but I know there was injection, in infrastructure, there was injection in capacity building, there was injection in various things, including things like communication and customer service. So those numbers, I don't have them. I know they are a couple of millions, but I know the numbers are there and we can be able to share.
Maria? We can hear you, yeah. And I can repeat it. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's important that the reflection that you made, and at the end of the day, everyone involved in WOPs know that beyond the KPIs, there is so much happening that is not visible. And the donors are asking for, what you said, the return on investment. I think there is also a role that we all have to play, and there has been a lot of progress in asking donors to look beyond those KPIs and be a bit more open to other ways of the maturity model, process-based capacity. How do we make that visible? So there is also this role that each of us with our hats have to also make in convincing donors to change their ways of looking at performance. Thank you.
maybe also adding to your story, Grace, I did look once a few times in the WOP indicators, and the WOP indicators, that's the Kenyan regulators' data, and they provide insights into the revenues of, amongst others, Navasco, and you can see that has really been a very tremendous increase, I think a doubling or a tripling of the revenues of the utility, and if you put that revenues against the cost of the WOP, then it would be a magnificent business case, but of course there is the attribution. Can you really attribute that completely to the WOP, and that would be a bit too much, I think, but overall I think utility improvements, what we've seen with several partners is that in terms of revenues, it can also have a significant impact because of the increase in numbers of customers and also the efficiency gains that are there. Any other people from the audience? Please.
Alors, je m'exprime en français, je ne sais pas si je me ferai comprendre ou pas. Alors, j'ai saisi cette tribune, je viens de l'Office national de l'eau et de l'assainissement du Burkina Faso, et j'ai saisi l'occasion où il y a plusieurs sociétés d'eau présentes qui partagent leurs expériences. Alors, nous avons un souci au niveau du recouvrement. Et sans recouvrement, l'équilibre financier d'une entreprise d'eau est en péril. Voilà. Alors, nous avons en perspective de basculer dans les compteurs après paiement. Pour l'instant, nous sommes au stade des essais, d'expérimentation, des types de compteurs, etc., avec toute cette batterie de logiciels qu'il faut installer, etc. Moi, je veux poser la question à savoir, est-ce qu'une société d'eau ici présente ou un partenaire a accompagné une société d'eau pour, en tout cas, réussir l'expérimentation des compteurs après paiement? Nous savons que c'est peut-être en Afrique centrale, un peu orientale, qui sont un peu plus en avance. En Afrique occidentale, francophone, pas vraiment. Alors, à l'aide SOS, à l'aide, s'il y a quelqu'un qui peut nous accompagner, nous sommes prêts. S'il y a un concepteur qui peut nous accompagner, même s'il faut traverser toute la terre, aller en Mongolie, si l'expérience y est, nous irons pour améliorer cette histoire de recouvrement. Merci.
Merci. And now my French is too little to really completely capture the question. I know you're from Burkina Faso. Oh yeah, please. Can you? Yeah.
Okay, thank you everyone. I'm from the Mongolian team, the MCA Mongolia. My name is Titske. I have very interested that the guy sitting there was like captured the 4 different the donors fund in one time. That is the very interesting point we are like currently focusing on, because we want our initiated projects should extend and have more fund like him. So can you give us a hint about it, on top of Unru's question about the methodology, about the returns, etc. So maybe we can have a special session with you, or yeah, thank you.
It's a question to Arjan then, yeah, if you.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for the questions. And yes, it's a lot of investment that we need. And it's actually also part of WOPs that we are able to secure a lot of financing, or we call it a creative financing. In WOPs, the mentor, or from FI in this case, is also supporting us in how we in developing proposal. And developing proposal is crucial to get more and more funding, because to get more financing, you will require to submit some readiness criteria, and this is crucial. And with the help from WOPs, from the mentor, with their knowledge, with their expertise, the quality of the proposal can become good. So that is also the role of WOPs. And that's the first about the technical capacity. And the second one is about helping to finding financing. I mean, the WOPs is, I think I talk about this in the session on UC, on UWCI, where WOPs is not only about technicals, but also should move into the financial sustainability, where it should help also utility to become more financial independent. And the WOPs as a mentor utility can also help us in finding these donors. And that's what also FI do in Semarang case. They introduce us to triple UCI or to WCI. They introduce us to us, and we develop the proposal. And with the Nature Conservancy for Nature for Water program, they introduce us. And for Water for Life, yeah, for FI, everybody is doing it. So basically, that's the importance of WOP. So WOP's not only technical, but also it's enabling us to get more creative financing. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, considering time, because there's 10 minutes before the next session starts, I think we should start wrapping up. If there's one final question, then we could still take it.
Just for Madam, because I wanted
please.
to translate.
I'm sorry about
She was really looking for prepayment methods, because in Burkina Faso, right, they have really a problem of cost recovery.
Yeah.
And I think they are wondering if it's valuable to install this system, and ask against the panelists or anyone else, if a country have installed such prepayment methods, and if how does it work, and I think that's more or less what she said. Yeah.
And then we talk about cash liquidity, I think. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Okay. It's that. Yeah, I think cash deprivity or availability is one of the key issues. I think maybe Nawasco, you could. I think the Grace, you could probably comment to that.
Yes, Nawasco actually did try prepaid meters, and the basis of trying prepaid meters was because at that time, as you saw, we did not have access in terms of availability for all customers. That's one. Also, we were trying to reach the low-income consumers with the prepaid meters. The most unfortunate thing with the prepaid meters is that they became expensive in terms of maintenance. So we had to look for a way of reworking it. One, we were able to fabricate some of the parts that were having issues. So within the Kenyan engineer team, that is the Nakuru team, they were able to fabricate some parts, but fabrication again wasn't lasting very long. So there were a lot of breakdowns. Another thing is that customers themselves came back to us and told us that, fine, you gave us a solution, prepaid meters, but now we feel that we've gotten to a level economically where we can have our own meters in the household. That is how we changed from prepaid meters to individual meters. But we still have prepaid meters within a kiosk setup. A kiosk is like a shop, a water shop, where within a community, if we do not have access in terms of them not being able to reach, to have water, then they can walk up to the kiosk with a particular amount and just slot it into the machine. They fetch the water according to the amount that they have, and it closes itself up, and then they can live with their water. So there are a lot of solutions that we tried around prepaid metering. Maybe it's a discussion that we can have with her later.
Thank you. Yeah, I suggest any other questions and discussions we have during the break. Feel free to also approach our speakers. And I would like to thank you all for your participation, and especially the speakers.
Thank you very much.